Hello, I'm coming on live today to talk about how to raise a healthy eater. I am Dr. Lumferndi. I am a pediatrician and founder of Generational Wellbeing, where I help parents create sustainable healthy habits for themselves and for their families so that they can start reversing disease processes like diabetes, obesity, especially those that run in the family, so we can start changing that narrative from disease to wellness. So if it's your first time, say hello and welcome. So today I am talking about raising a healthy eater, really because we have the rise in the rate of obesity in our kids, and we're now seeing a lot of chronic disease conditions that we never used to see in kids. Those conditions that we used to think, oh, it's only at age 60 or 40 or something above that. We're now diagnosing those disease conditions in teenagers. So as the recent AAP guidelines came out, really saying this is a complex condition. Yes, your risk may include genetics, but the environment plays a really huge role about disease, with the disease process and the occurrence or diagnosis of disease. So today we're talking about healthy eating habits, because this also has to do with the environment, your eating environment in which you are. It goes to form long-term habits as far as your relationship with foods and the kinds of foods that you tend to eat throughout lifetime. And we know those foods can either lead to inflammation and disease, or the foods we eat can actually lead to healing or wellness in our bodies. So as we are raising our kids, we have to be mindful about what we're modeling for them as well, because the things we struggle with right now more than likely are the things that we've done over time, or we've seen our parents model to us as well. So today I'll talk about 3 things you can do, or 3 ways to help raise healthy kids. And the first thing I'll talk about is modeling. Like I just said before, modeling is really important because we end up eating the way our parents ate. And if we're trying to, especially if we're trying to create new healthy habits for ourselves, I've seen parents in clinic who are either have been diagnosed with diabetes or something they've been diagnosed with, and they're trying to create those new habits for themselves, but they're not including their children in there. But I'm saying that you have to really include your children, because you don't want your kids to get to that age and then have to start struggling with the things that you're currently struggling with. So modeling is really huge. And how do you model healthy habits for your kids? You can model that by scheduling meal times or sitting down to have at least 1 meal a day. I know our schedules are very different, just depending on how your days are going. Modeling is really important. Yeah, because you want to be able to show them what the healthy foods are like, or help them get to that will be a time where you can sit together as a family. You're eating the foods that you want them to eat as they grow up, and you're discussing and talking to them, because we live in a very hectic environment where if we're not careful or really mindful about scheduling time to sit down and talk to our kids, we'll end up just raising kids that we don't really know or really have a relationship with. So really, even if it's 1 meal a day where we're having dinner together, sitting down together on the table, and we're eating the same meal, and we're talking about how our day went, and even as we're talking about food itself, we're building a healthy relationship with food. So modeling is it's a really, really important part when we're trying to help our kids create healthy habits. The second way is scheduling meal times. The biggest thing I've seen with picky eaters is kids who are grazing throughout the day. I have seen kids who will just drink either juice or milk throughout the day, and they refuse all the foods we offer because all those drinks, they're inevitably drinking all the calories because it fills them up and they don't feel hungry enough for the next meal that is offered. So a way to prevent that from happening is scheduling meal times where you're offering them something to eat in anywhere between every 2 to 3 hours. So let's say, for example, your day starts and say you have breakfast at about 7 a.m. They have breakfast at 7 a.m. Between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. there's nothing else to eat. You can offer water if they want to. And the next snack maybe at 9 a.m. And then maybe at noon you have lunch, and then 3 p.m. you have a next snack, and dinner at 6 p.m. where you have those time frames where you're not offering food and you're not leading to a kid who's just eating mindlessly throughout the day, but we have scheduled meal times. The two important things about that is that one, when you have scheduled meal times, then knowing the next meal is going to happen, it helps to reduce the number of mealtime related tantrums. If you're raising a toddler especially, you know that when that kid is hungry, nothing you say to them makes sense. So, but if you have a schedule that they know when the next meal is coming, it reduces the number of tantrums that are related to mealtime. It also gives them a sense of security where if say you had like a particular food and they don't want to eat it, they know that, okay, well, I know my next meal is coming. There's that sense of knowing that I am going to be offered the next snack at the meal at the next time that is scheduled. So it just makes life for you easier. And the truth about it is that kids love routine. Kids, it gives them, again, that sense of security, knowing that, okay, this is what's going to happen throughout the day, which reduces the number of tantrums. And in essence, you can kind of manage what you're eating. And as you're offering the snacks to them, we want to offer as healthy as possible. It's very difficult with kids. I don't know if anybody can relate. Just finding anything targeted or marketed towards kids that does not have extra sugar. And with all the research coming up, we know that sugar really increases inflammation, decreases immune function. And if we're loading them up with all this sugary beverages or sugary snacks, and they go out there, and we know most of the schools and daycares are huge places where they get all kinds exposed to all kinds of viruses and disease. It's like lowering the defense mechanism and then sending them out to get exposed to all these viruses. And then inevitably they end up getting so many illnesses. We end up missing time at work or school and stuff like that. So scheduling and getting them on a good schedule, and in between those meal times too, offering mostly water as opposed to, again, juices or milks, because that fills them up too, where they're not hungry enough for the next scheduled meal. And the final way is to avoid using food as a reward. This is a big one and is very subtle, and I hear it every day. Sometimes I find myself actually falling into that too, especially when you have a kid who is, I see it every day. Like, say they're going through a very stressful procedure or stressful anything. It's like, okay, if you do it, we're going to give you a snack, or if you get your shot today, we're going to get you McDonald's. It's like it relates, or we're transmitting this message that food is meant for reward. And as they go through life, or as we go through life, we find even as adults where, if I had a long day at work, so there was a stressful day at work, the tendency is to just get on the couch and then get a box of ice cream or get some kind of a treat as a reward. Very subtle, but and every now and then you can do that. But when it adds up as a habit, we end up consuming a lot of calories that leads to inflammation, relates to disease. So the whole idea is protecting our environment, or putting in our environment things that will help us as opposed to things that will lead us down that disease route. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. And if you came in late, I talked about 3 ways to help your kids to raise healthy eaters. One, modeling and making sure we're having meal times and modeling those healthy habits we want to see our kids carry on throughout life, and scheduling meal times so we're avoiding grazes, avoiding temper tantrum related food related temper tantrums. And then 3, really avoiding to use food as a reward, because that will lead to emotional eating down the line, which, that's huge as far as when you start trying to make changes towards healthy eating. So let me know what you think about this. If you have any questions, you can DM me. And that will be it for today. Have a good rest of your day.